Hello everyone, this is Hari Krishna. Welcome back to Smartnetize YouTube channel, your one-stop solution to crack any tech interview. Today in this video, we are going to discuss the latest CodeChef contest 196 D4 solutions. So without any delay, let's get into it.
Okay, the first problem, cloud watching. So the problem goes like this. Chef can predict the weather just by looking at the clouds. Okay. Now, Chef saw A clouds in the morning and B clouds in the evening. Okay. Now, he believes that it will rain if the number of clouds he saw in the evening. So, what are the number of clouds he saw in the evening? B or at least. So, at least is greater than or equals to. So, 3 times the number of clouds he saw in the morning, which are A. So, if this condition is true, then Jeff believes that it is going to rain, right? And else simply no rain, right? No output format, single line containing the answer rain. So, you have to print rain if Jeff believes it will rain, or else you have to print dry, right? So, the else condition will be dry. Simple, right? Now, let's try to hold it up. Now there are two variables A, B. We use map function to read them. Input dot split, right? And if condition, if B is greater than or equal to 3 times of A, I'll simply print rain and else print dry. Now let's try to run this. Here the output is matching. If you can see for input 3 and 9, it should be rain and it is matching. Let's submit it. Great, it's working. Okay. The second question, more cookies. The problem is something like this. Alice, along with her and friends, visited a bakery. Now, Alice bought C cookies, and each of her ith friend bought A of I cookies. Alright. Now, Alice is quite competitive, so she will only be happy if the two conditions are something like this. Right? What is the first condition we are having? At least one friend has strictly less than cookies compared to her, right? That means there exists at least one A of I such that A of I is less than what? C cookies. And the second point, simply no other person should be having same cookies. So that means for all A of I should not be equals to C, right? And the input format. So there are t test cases. In each test case, N, C, and A of i's, A of I dash, something like this, right? This represent the cookies owned by their friends, and these are the number of cookies owned by Alice, right? Now let's take an example. Here let's take this example 3, 5, 10, 5, 3, right? Now N is 3, C is 5, and the number of cookies owned by each friend is 10, 5, and 3. Now first, here what should we do? Here we have to try to minimize the extra cookies to make Alice happy. To make Alice happy, we may have to buy some extra cookies also, right? So you have to minimize that, right? So minimize extra cookies here. Okay. cookies here. Alright. Now, first, what can we do here? First thing we can do is checking for the first condition. Let's say C is 5, right? Now, if C is 5, we have to check whether 10 is 10 is less than 5. No. And 5 is less than 5? No. And 3, is it less than 5? Yes. So first condition is true. What if it is something like this? What if C is 2? What if C is 2? Now, is there any element in the array which is less than 2? No, right? Obviously no. Then what should we do here? We have to buy some extra cookies. Now, to minimize the answer, we have to try to find minimum possible cookies to satisfy the condition 1. Right? So what will be the minimum possible cookies? It can be simply taking the minimum element in the array, right? Taking the minimum element in the array and see if I can cross is 3 or not, right? So initially I'm having 2 cookies. Now if I'm having 2 cookies, I'll simply increment extra cookies to, let's say extra to 2, such that total number of cookies will become 4. Now can I simply say that if minimum of a of I, what is the minimum of a of I is less than C, then first condition is satisfied. Then first condition is satisfied. Else what should I do? I have to make it satisfy. So I have to increment C such that it should be greater than minimum of I. Why am I taking minimum? Because that will give me the minimum number of cookies. What if I want to compare with 10? What if I want to have more cookies than 10? That would be not only 2, it would be 9, right? 9 extra cookies. But are they asking for a particular person's cookies? No, right? There should be at least one person whose cookies are less than C. Right? Then we can obviously take minimum number of cookies, because that will give us minimum number of extra cookies we need to take. Right? So that's why I'm taking minimum cookies. So if this is less than C, then first condition is satisfied. Else you have to make it minimum. How do you make it minimum? So when do I make it minimum? When I simply when the condition is something like this, right? If minimum of a of I is greater than or equals to C, if this is true, what should I do? I'll simply take my answer variable. How much should I increase my answer variable to? So how many cookies I'm adding extra here? 2. How do I get that? So C is 2 here. C is 2. C is 2. And minimum is what? 3. Minimum is 3. Now what should I do? Simply 3 minus 2 plus 1. Right? So simply I'll write minimum of A of I minus C plus 1 is the current extra cookies, right? Let me write extra here, extra. And what is the current C now? Current C is 3 plus 1, 4, right? So simply minimum of A of I plus 1. Now what happened to C? C is 4. So to satisfy first condition, this can be the logic. Okay. Now to satisfy second condition, what should I do? To satisfy second condition, what should I do? Now I have to check with every element and see if it is equals to C or not, right? Is 10 equals to C? What is C? It is now 4. Now is 5 equals to C? No. Is 5 equals to C? No. Now is 3 equals to C? No. Then it is fine. We don't need to increment anything. So the answer would be what? Only 2 extra cookies, right? Now let's come back to the previous example where this was 5. This was 5. Now first condition is by default it is satisfied because this condition is not true, so we don't need to do anything here. Now for the second condition, I'll go and check for every element. 10 not matching, 5 it is matching. Now if it is 5 is going to match, now should I increment just by 1? Should I increment just by 1? So can I make it 6 here simply? Can I make it 6? Yeah, if I make it 6, it is working, right? But let's take one more example. N equals to 7, C equals to 5, and the elements in the array are 10, 9, 6, 5, and 3, something like this. Now, what are we doing previously? We are checking for first condition. It is being satisfied because 5 is greater than the smallest element in the array. Now, for the second condition, I'll compare with every element in the array and see if there is any duplicate with respect to 5. So when we come here, we crossed all these elements, right? We crossed all these elements and we came to 5. Now here they are matching. So what will you do? Will you make new C as 6 and extra is 1? But if you see here, when I make it to 6, again it is being matched with one of the element which we previously encountered, right? One of the element which is again previously encountered. Now what should I do here? Should I again start from the starting element and compare with 6? Yeah, you can do that. What should I do? I'll simply start again. I'll compare, move forward, compare, move forward, compare, move forward. Yeah, when we go here, 6 is matching. So I'll increment to 7 and extra will be 2. Right? Again next time, again compare, not matching, not matching. When we come here, it is matching again. Right? Now it is matching again. So can I say that? I'll increase this to 8 again, and this is the 3. So this is going to take repeated operations, repeated searches in the array, right? So how can I make it work in a single iteration? What is actually happening here? When I come here, so when I increase C to 6, there is a element previously which is also 6. So I have to make sure that all the previous elements should be less than 6, or sorry, less than 5. So how do I make sure of that? Simply can I say, if I sort them, what will happen? 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Now if I do the operation, what will happen? Is it 5? No. Is it 5? Yes, it is 5. So I'll make it 6 and extra is 1, right? I'll make it 6 and extra is 1 now. Now I'll move forward. Now when I go here, again it is matching with C. So I'll simply again make it increasing by 7 and I'll write extra as 2 because 1 plus 1, right? Again I'll move forward. It is again 7 here. So they're matching. I'll increase, right? I'll increase C, I'll increase extra. Now again 8. Now again it is matching with C. So simply again I'll increase C to 9 and 3 to 4. 3 to 4 again. I'll do the same thing again. I'll go forward. It is 9. C is also 9. So again I'll increase C to 10 and extra to what? 5. Right? Again I'll move forward. For 10 it is matching again. So I'll increase this to 11 and I'll increase this to 6. Right? Now I'm out of the array. That means I compared with every element and I made sure that C is not matching with any of the element in the array, right? So to apply point 2, what I'm doing, I'm simply sorting the array, right? Now what are the steps we are going to do? So this is the first step. First step is to sort the array. Then second step, point 1, satisfy point 1. How are we going to do? I have explained previously. And third step is to satisfy point number 2, right? So for the point number 2, what will you do? You simply have a loop from 0 to n minus 1, and since the array is sorted, so when I increase c, I'm sure that it will not be matched with any element previously, right? Now if current c is equivalent to array of I, what I'll do, I'll increase the c and also increase the extra, right? This is to make point to satisfy. At the end you can simply print the extra, right? Now let's try to code this up. Now as given in the problem statement, there are multiple test cases, so I'm taking a variable test to read the number of test cases, right? After that I'll iterate over the test cases. Iterating over the test cases is something like this, right? Now there is n, there is c in the first line, so I'll take that. Split, and there's an array, so a equals to list of map int comma input dot split. Alright. Now after that, we need to sort the array as we discussed already. Sort. Now minimum variable we want, which is a of 0 because the array is sorted. Next we want to check for the point number 1, right? For the point number 1, the condition if mini is greater than or equals to c, what will you do? We'll simply update c and extra. So we are having an extra variable, it is equals to 0. Now here extra is equal to mini minus c plus 1 and c equals to mini plus 1. This is for first point. For the second point, we need to iterate over the array. So for I in rain, for I in, let's take directly a, and if I matches with c, then increment c value and also increment extra value, right? At the end simply print extra, how many extra you have taken, right? That's all. Let's try to run. Yeah, 1308, it's working. Let's submit this. Yeah, it's working. Great. Okay, the third question. Sugar limit, chef bought n different snacks and now needs to decide which ones to eat. The ith snack has tastiness T of I. Let's call taste as T of I. Okay. And we are also having sugar B of I, which we call as S of I for now. And note that A of I, which is T of I, can be positive, negative, or 0 or even 0. Now chef wants to limit his sugar intake. He wants to limit his sugar intake. So he will choose an integer L. Let's say L. Then he can only eat a snack if it has at most L units of sugar. That means S of I is less than or equals to L. Then only he will eat the snack. Okay. And note that doesn't need to have every snack that satisfies the condition. He can decide to skip some of them too. That means it is not guaranteed that he will eat all the snacks which satisfy this condition. He can also skip some, right? Now let's S denote the sum of the tastiness values of all the snacks. chef decides to eat. Let's say chef eats some snacks. So each and every snack is having a taste value. So combining all those tasty values will give you S value, which is for all I summation I T of I, where S of I is less than or equals to L. Let's call this as sum. Okay. So this is the condition. So sum will be the summation of all T of I, where S of I is less than or equals to L. Right. Now the satisfaction of the chef is equivalent to S minus L. So when he eats some snacks, the satisfaction level, which is our answer, is S minus L. Okay, it is sum minus L, right? Yeah, that's all. Now, what is the expected answer? Chef wants to maximize the satisfaction level. If he chooses the value of L and snacks he eats appropriately, that means we have to choose the value of L, we have to decide the value of L, and we also have to decide the snacks to be eaten when the value of L is given, and find the maximum satisfaction possible. Right now, here, what are the snacks the chef going to eat? One condition is S of I is less than or equals to L. But let's say we are having a negative taste. Negative taste. Will you eat this? No, right? Even if you have zero taste, do you need to eat this? No, right? Because it will not contribute to your answer, right? If it is negative or zero, these two taste values will only reduce our sum value, but will never increase our sum value, right? That's why we also add one more condition where T of I is greater than 0, right? If these two conditions are satisfied, then only the chef will eat the snacks, right? And we need to return the S minus L value, and we have to maximize this. Okay, we have to maximize, we have to find the maximum S minus L value, and we have to print the answer. This is the problem statement. Now input format. So there are test cases. Each test case consists of 3 lines. First line containing n number of snacks. So second line contains tastiness values, and the third line contains sugar value. Okay, let's see the sample test cases. Okay, let's pick up one of the example. Let's pick up this example here. Let's say this is sugar value, this is tastiness value, right? What is the sugar value? Sugar values are 4, 2, 4. Let me write in this way. Okay? First, I'll write tastiness values and the sugar value. Okay. Now, tastiness is 5, 12, minus 6, and 1. Right. Now, sugar values are 4, 2, 4, 1. Right. We need to choose a L, and we have to calculate the sum, and we have to return the maximum S minus L value. Right. Right. Now, how are we going to do? Can you see that? Let's say we'll choose L value as 10. We'll choose L value as 10. Now, what are the possibilities we can have here? See, can you see that all these values are less than 10? So we can choose all the items to eat, right? Now, if I eat all the items, the sum will be what? Sum will be 5 plus 12. And can you see that since this is negative, I'm not considering this, because if you eat negative taste, obviously it will decrease the sum, right? And plus 1. Now, what is the S minus L value? Sum minus L is equivalent to, we are having 16 minus L is 10, which is, sorry, not 16, this is 17, 18, right? 18 minus 10 is 8. This is the one of the possible answer if we take L as 10. Let's take L as 9. If you even take L as 9, sum will never change, right? Because all these numbers are again less than 9. So this will change to, if I take this as 9, if I take this as 9, here I will have to change the value of 9 and this will be changing to 9. 18 minus 9 is 9. Now if I change this as 5 also, if I change this even to 5, what will happen? All these numbers are less than 5, less than or equals to 5. So I can say that I'll change this to 5 and this will change to what? 18 minus 5 is 13. 18 minus 5 is 13 and so on. If I go even take 4, even if I take 4, you can see that all these values are less than or equals to 4, right? That is why I'll change this to 4 and this answer should be 14. And can I change this to 3? Can I change this to 3? No, right? If you even take 3, you cannot take, if you take 3, you cannot take this item, you cannot take this item and that's all. You cannot take this item, right? If you don't take this item, obviously, what will be the sum? For 3, 12 plus 1, 13, right? And minus L value, what is L value? 3. So what will you get? 30 minus 3, 10. So what can be the maximum possible answer? 14. 14 can be the maximum possible answer. Now can you see that when you take 10 or even 9 or 5, any number here, these all are giving you same sum. Why? Because these L values are too large when compared to S of I. But if the L value is too large when compared to S of I, that means S minus sum minus L value will decrease. If L value increases, sum minus L value decreases, obviously, right? So if there is no use for 10, that means if there is no tasty item with 10, then why do we need to take 10? Are you getting my point? If there is no item with 9, there is no item with 9, why do we need to take 9, right? So can you see that we can see that we'll only take the S values, L values as either 1, 2 or 4, because even if you take 3, you can only consider 1 and 2 and there is no item or no snack with three sugar levels. And if you even take that, there is no use. It will obviously decrease the sum minus L value, right? So that is why we'll only pick one of the element from sugar values. We'll pick L only one of the S of I values. So let's say I'll try with 1, I'll get some answer. I'll try with 2, I'll get some answer. I'll try with 4, I'll get some answer. Among these, I'll get the maximum answer. So how will the code look like? Now the code. So first we are having S array, we are having T array. So S is for sugars, T is for tastiness, right? Now we are having a sum variable. We are also having a L variable, right? Sum is initially, let's say, 0 and L is also, let's say, initially 0, right? And also answer, which is also initially 0. Okay, so I'm just declaring them. I will write the entire code obviously in the editor, right? So these are the variables we're going to use. Now for I 0 to n minus 1, this is to fix L value. So L is equivalent to what? L is equivalent to S of I. So one of the S value I'm taking. Now for this S value, for this L value, I need to know the sum, right? So 0 to n minus 1. Now what is the condition? If S of j, the current j value, current sugar value is less than or equals to L, and the taste value should also be a positive number, right? Then only it will increase the answer, right? Both are satisfying the if the both conditions are satisfied, I'll simply update my sum value to taste of j right? After this, what will I do? I'll simply close this for loop because we're done with the for loop, and date the answer. Let's say answer equals to maximum of current answer, comma, the current sum minus current L. After that, we are going to initialize the sum with 0 because for the next iteration the sum is again a new sum, right? We have to restart the sum with 0, and at the end we'll simply print the answer. That's all. Okay, this is the entire code, right? Let's try to code this up. Before that, why do you think this solution is going to work? What is the complexity of this solution? N square. And is n square solution going to work for this? Obviously yes, because n is very small, which is 10 100, and the overall time complexity is 10 power 6, and which is less than 10 power 8, right? That is why we're going to use this solution, right? So let's code now. Now the code part, as given in the input format, we're having multiple test cases, right? So take a variable to store the number of test cases, right? Next, iterate over each test case, and now take the input for each test case. So for each test case, we're having an integer n. So int input, and we're also having two arrays. Let's say the first array is what? Tastiness array. So let's say t equals to list of map of int comma input dot split, right? And s equals to list of map of int comma input dot split, right? Yeah, this input. Okay, we are having the entire input for the each test case. Now what shall we do? So the conditions are, so to for before we declare them, we declare the variables. Let's say sum equals to 0, sum equals to 0, and we're also having the L value essentially 0, and answer which is also initially 0. Now the for loop for I in range of n, right? Now L equal to 0 levels of I, right? And after that for j in range of n, so you have to calculate the sum plus equal. So before that you have to write the information, right? If s of j is less than or equals to L, and t of j is greater than 0, right? For this condition, what should you do? You have to update the sum plus equals to t of j, right? That's all for this for loop. At the end of the for loop, you'll update the answer, max of answer comma sum minus L, and we initialize sum to 0, right? And at the end of all the for loops, simply print the answer, right? Let's see if it's working or not. Okay, my bad. Syntax is and, right? Yeah, 249.0, it's working. Let's see, submit and see. Yeah, it's working. Great. That's all for this third question. Now, the fourth question, append average. You're given an array of size n. Okay. Now you have to perform some operations for k times. Let's see what are the operations. you have to perform for exactly k times. Okay, now the operation is you have to choose two elements, array of I and array of j, such that I and j are not equal, obviously, and you have to take average of two numbers. So what is the average of two numbers? Simply can I say array of I plus array of j plus 1. But if I do this, you will satisfy both of these conditions here. Okay, it will work for both odd and even cases as expected. Okay, now every time you do the operation, you'll get this average value. You have to append this value to the array. Okay, now if you perform for k times, there are k new elements, you have to append them and you have to calculate the new sum. Okay, let's say the first time the size was n, the second time the size is n plus 1. Now in this array you have to find, you have to choose two elements again. Okay, in the array of size n plus 1, you have to choose new element, two elements again, array of I and array of j, right? And you have to calculate the average and append it to. Then the new array size will be array of, array n plus 2. Again you have to choose two elements from this array and again calculate the average and append it to the array again. You have to perform this operation for k times. Okay, and you have to calculate the sum after the k operations, and you have to minimize the sum possible. That means there are multiple ways of choosing array of n, array of j in an array. So you have to choose in such a way that the sum which comes out to be after the k operations should be as minimum as possible. So sum should be minimized, right? Sum should be minimized, and the input format, test cases, and then k values and the array, right? That's all. And the constraints, if you look at the constraints, t is 10 power 5, n is 10 power 5 around, and array of 5 and k are also 10 power 9, right? That's all. Let's take an example and see how it's going to work. Now 5 1 6 5 7 4 7, right? I have to perform an operation on this, only one operation. Now let's say I perform the operation, I got a new array. Okay, 5 7 4 7, and let's say the element to be x. Okay, here let's say the initial sum was s1. Okay, and after performing the operation for one time, the sum will be s1 plus x, right? Now this is fixed because it is the actual array size, right? And I have to decrease this value. How can I decrease? If I know leaf, I can decrease the x value. X value is the average of any two numbers. So when will you get an average of two numbers to be minimized? Simply when we take two minimum numbers, then the average of two numbers is as minimum as possible. So let's say I'm picking two minimum values. Okay, let's say first min and second min. What is the first min? 4, and second min is what? 5. So the average is what? Average is going to be 5 again, right? Now the new array is 6 5 7 4 7 and 5. This is the new array now. Now let's say k is, now the sum is here 34 as expected, right? Let's say the k is not 1, k is 2. Okay, now the k is 2. Now what will be the first min and second min? Again 4 and 5, right? Why is this going to happen? Because let's say this is a number line. Okay, here we are having 4, here we are having 5, 6 and 7. If we calculate the average, what is the average? 4 plus 5 plus 1 by 2. That would be in between 4 and 5, right? If we average two values, that number will be in between 4 and 5. It will never be less than 4 or it will never be greater than 4. That means the new second max, sorry, the new second min will be what? Average of the previous two numbers, right? Now this is the new second min, right? That is why it is 5 here. Okay, and for the next operation also same thing. You'll simply have first min as array of 0 or the first smallest value in the array, and second min as the previous operations average value. So we can keep on doing this. So what will the code look like? So we're having first min. Let's say we have calculated first min, second min using somehow we know that. Now let's say sum. What is sum? It is initially 0 to n minus 1, right? Summation of array of, this is the array we are going to use. Okay, what will you do? You'll perform this operation for k times. Okay, while k minus greater than 0, what will you perform? Simply calculate average. Average is f plus s plus 1. So this is second max s plus 1 by 2, and sum plus equals to average, and second min is going to change to, min is going to change to what? Going to change to average. If we keep on performing these operations, we're going to get the answer, right? At max, at the end, we'll simply return the sum, right? We'll simply print the sum. No, this is going to work, but it is not going to give you TLE because this while loop is iterating from 0 to k, right? K times. And if you see the constants, k is 10 power 9. So we cannot have a loop of 10 power 9 times, right? Alright. So how can we reduce the number of iterations here? Now, small observation here. Let's take 1 and 20. Are the two, this is the first max, first min and the second min, and we are having few more elements in the array. Okay, we are having few more elements in the array. Alright. Now, next time what will happen? 1 and 21 by 2, which is 11, right? This is first and this is second and this is third element and few more elements, right? After next, what will happen? 1, 12 by 2, 6, first, second, and we're having 11, 20, and so on, right? Again, if we take 1, 7 by 3, 4, and 6, 11, 20, and so on, right? And for the next time, this is first and this is second, right? Now again, 1, 5 by 2, 3, right? And so on, other elements, right? Again next, 1, 4 by 2, 2, and so on, right? Next, again, 1, 3 by 2, 2, right? And so on, so on. Again, 1, 2, because 1 plus 2 by 2 is 2 again, right? And so on. So can you see that at certain point of time, these values are not changing. The second min is not changing here. So what is happening? Let's say there are two numbers, x and y. Okay, x and y. Now when we calculate the average, you follow the somewhere here, right? Now you calculate average of these two numbers will be here. If you calculate average of these two numbers, will be somewhere here. Every time you calculate the average of average numbers, you'll simply go towards x. You'll simply go towards x, and at some point it will be either they're going to match or they're going to be like 1 and 2 or 10 and 11, like only the one difference, because 10 plus 11 plus 1 by 2 is again 11 itself. So can I say that at certain part of time, my first max and second max either be equals to second max, or second max minus first max is equals to 1. These two are, if any one of the condition is true, can I simply say that for all the remaining k operations, whatever left over, it will be simply adding the second max to the sum. Because so here what is happening, here we got some x, some value, some, let's say some y, right? Here what will happen, sum plus 2, y plus 2, y plus 2 plus 2, and y plus 2 plus 2. We keep on doing adding only 2 for the remaining operations, right? So simply can I say here if second max minus first max, my bad, second min minus first min is equivalent to 1 or less than or equals to 1, can you simply break here, right? And at the end what will you do? What are the remaining sum, right? We will be having some sum here, right? We'll be having some sum here, sum plus remaining k times. We are having, let's say, some k times k into s, right? That's all. Now, you should be having a doubt that what if this break statement never happens before k, right? What if the k goes to 10 power 9 times? See, k will never reach 10 power 9 times. It will never even reach 30 times, because what is the maximum possible sum between two numbers? Let's say first min is 1 and second min is 10 power 9, right? And the average of these two numbers is what? 10 power 9 by 2, which is almost 10 power 9, I mean 10 power 9 by 2, right? Now, you are doing average between 1 to 10 power 9, you'll go to 10 power 9 by 2, and you'll go to 10 power 9 by 4, and so on until 1, right? How many steps do you think it will take? Can I say 10 power 9 as 2 power 30, right? And if I keep on dividing by 2, 2 power 30 by 2, how many times will it take to reach 1 or 0? At max, it will take 30 times, right? So at max, that k will go only for 30 times. After that, definitely this condition will be true, and you'll simply break out from this, right? So that is why this is going to work. Now let's try to code this up. Yeah, now coming to the code part, if you see the screen here, I have written the code here, which is exactly same code which I have written on the screen previously. Now the only difference is I have taken the test cases, right? So read n and k and a, and sorted the a because I want first min and second min. You can also do it without sorting, but it's fine, right? I've calculated the sum using sum function in Python. Now for each k, decrement the k and calculate the average value, update the sum with average value, update the average value, second min with average, and if the condition is true, break, and at the last remaining k into the second min value will be the actual answer. Let's run the code. See, 24, 34 and 26 exactly matching. Yeah, it's correct. That's all.
That's it for today, guys. If you like the video, please like and share it with your fellow coders. For more such content, do subscribe this channel. See you in the next video.